He looked her in the eyes and said a shocking words. "Look at yourself," he hissed, his fingers digging into her shoulders with enough force to leave bruises. Bruises she'd have to cover with makeup tomorrow, just like always. 98 pounds of absolutely nothing. You know what you look like in that dress? Like a little girl playing dress-up in her mother's clothes. You think any real man wants a stick figure like you? He slammed her against the bedroom wall. Sarah's back hit the plaster with a dull thud that sent shockwaves through her spine. The family photo beside her head. The one from their honeymoon in Cancun where she looked so happy and naive, rattled violently before tilting sideways like everything else in her world had over the past 3 years. Her husband Marcus towered over her, all 6 feet 2 inches of him pressing forward. His breath hot and sour against her face, reeking of the 4 Budweisers he'd downed during the football game and something deeper, more rotten. The stench of his own disappointment. The apartment felt smaller than its already cramped 800 square feet, the walls seeming to close in as Marcus's shadow fell across her face. The overhead light cast harsh angles across his features, making him look like a stranger. But then again, Sarah thought with a clarity that surprised her, maybe he'd always been a stranger. Maybe she'd just been too scared, too small, too grateful to notice. The black cocktail dress, the one she'd bought specially for tonight's dinner with his work colleagues, hung loose around her frame despite being a size 0. She'd thought she looked elegant, sophisticated even. But now, seeing herself through his eyes, she felt foolish. The dress that should have hugged her curves instead draped over her like fabric on a hanger. "You're not even a real woman, Sarah," Marcus continued, his voice dropping to that dangerous whisper she'd learned to fear. "You're a child pretending to be grown up. Do you know what Jerry said when he saw our wedding photos on my desk? He asked if I'd married my little sister. My little sister, Sarah. That's what my own colleagues think of my wife." The words sliced through her like razor blades, each one carefully chosen to inflict maximum damage. Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs that Marcus constantly reminded her protruded like a skeleton's. She could feel the familiar burning behind her eyes, the pressure building that wanted to release itself in tears. But she'd learned long ago that crying only made him angrier, only proved his point about her being weak and childish. The apartment around them told the story of their marriage in subtle details. His trophies from high school football dominated the living room shelves. His diplomas hung prominently on the walls. His favorite leather recliner sat in the prime spot facing the TV. Sarah's presence in the space was minimal. A few books tucked away on the bottom shelf. A small plant on the windowsill that she watered religiously, desperate to keep something alive in this suffocating place. "I'm trying," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the sound of her pulse thundering in her ears. It was the same pathetic response she always gave, the same plea for mercy that never came. Marcus threw back his head and laughed, a cold, bitter sound that made her skin crawl and her stomach clench with nausea. "Trying? You've been trying for 3 years. 3 years of marriage, and you're still the same pathetic little girl I married. Do you know what Tom's wife looks like? She's got curves. She's got hips. She fills out a dress instead of swimming in it like a kid in her daddy's clothes." He began pacing the small bedroom, his heavy footsteps making the floorboards creak ominously. The room felt like a cage, and Sarah pressed herself further against the wall, trying to become invisible. It was a skill she'd perfected over the years, how to shrink, how to disappear, how to take up as little space as possible so maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't set him off. "And Jennifer from accounting?" Marcus continued his cruel inventory. "Now that's what I call a real woman. She's got meat on her bones. She looks like she could actually satisfy a man instead of making him feel like he's committing a crime every time he touches her." The mention of Jennifer sent a spike of jealousy and fear through Sarah's chest. She'd seen the way Marcus looked at the curvy brunette at office parties, the way his eyes lingered on her full figure, the way he suddenly became animated and charming in her presence. Jennifer was everything Sarah wasn't. Confident, voluptuous, commanding attention just by walking into a room. "I need a real woman, Sarah," Marcus said, stopping his pacing to stare at her with disgust. "Someone with curves. Someone who fills out a sweater instead of looking like a coat hanger. Someone who doesn't make me feel like a pervert for being attracted to my own wife." The fluorescent kitchen light buzzed overhead. casting everything in a sickly yellow glow that made Sarah's pale skin look almost translucent. She could see her reflection in the darkened bedroom window, thin to the point of gaunt, her collarbones protruding sharply, her arms like twigs emerging from the oversized dress sleeves. Maybe I should find someone who can actually satisfy a man, Marcus said, his voice dropping to that deadly quiet tone that always preceded his worst attacks. Maybe I should stop wasting my time with someone who looks like she belongs in a children's hospital instead of a marriage bed. The threat hung in the air like poison gas, filling the small space until Sarah could barely breathe. It wasn't the first time he'd made this threat, and each time it felt like another piece of her soul being chipped away. She thought about all the late nights he'd been working, all the phone calls he took in the other room, all the times he'd come home smelling like perfume that wasn't hers. But as Marcus continued his verbal assault, describing in vivid detail what a real woman should look like, something strange began happening inside Sarah. Instead of the usual collapse, the familiar crumbling of her spirit, she felt something else entirely. A hardening. A crystallization of something that had been building for months, maybe years. What if she gave him exactly what he claimed to want? The thought hit her like lightning, electric and dangerous and completely unexpected. Sarah straightened slightly, pulling herself away from the wall as the idea took shape in her mind. Marcus was still talking, still cataloging her inadequacies, but his words were beginning to fade into background noise as a plan, wild, audacious, and perfect, began forming. What if she became everything he said he wanted? What if she gained the weight, developed the curves, became the real woman he kept demanding? But not for him. For herself. To prove a point that would destroy him more completely than any argument ever could. The apartment suddenly felt charged with electricity, the air humming with possibility. Sarah looked at Marcus, really looked at him for the first time in years, and instead of the powerful, controlling figure who had dominated her world, she saw something else entirely. A small, insecure man whose entire sense of self-worth depended on keeping her diminished. A pathetic little boy who could only feel big by making others feel small. "You're right," she said quietly, so quietly that Marcus stopped mid-sentence and turned to stare at her with confusion. "What did you say?" Sarah pushed herself fully away from the wall, standing straighter than she had in months. Her reflection in the window showed the same thin frame, the same fragile appearance, but something in her eyes had changed. Something dangerous had awakened. "I said you're right. I'm not enough woman for you." She met his gaze directly, unflinchingly, and watched as uncertainty flickered across his features. "But that's about to change." Marcus's forehead creased with confusion, his mouth slightly open as he tried to process this unexpected response. "What the hell are you talking about?" Sarah smiled, the first genuine smile she'd felt in months, maybe years. It felt foreign on her face, like muscles she'd forgotten how to use. "You want curves, Marcus? You want a real woman who fills out her clothes? You want someone who takes up space instead of disappearing into the wallpaper?" Her voice grew stronger with each word, more confident, more powerful. The sound surprised even her. When had she last spoken with such certainty, such conviction? "You want hips that sway when I walk? You want breasts that fill out a dress? You want thighs that touch and an ass that makes men turn their heads?" Sarah took a step toward him, and for the first time in their marriage, Marcus took a step back. "Sarah, what are you?" "Be careful what you wish for, Marcus," she interrupted, her smile widening. "Because you're about to get exactly what you asked for. Every single pound." The color drained from Marcus's face as the implications of her words began to sink in. "Now wait just a minute." "No, you wait," Sarah said, taking another step forward. "You've spent 3 years telling me exactly what kind of woman you want. You've described her in excruciating detail. You've compared me to her, humiliated me because I'm not her, threatened to find her somewhere else." She moved closer again, backing him toward the bed. "Well, congratulations. You're about to get your wish. I'm going to become everything you say you want. I'm going to gain weight until I have curves that make other men jealous. I'm going to fill out clothes in ways that turn heads. I'm going to become so much woman that—" "Stop," Marcus said, his voice cracking slightly. "Just stop. You don't understand what you're saying." "Oh, I understand perfectly." Sarah's eyes glittered with something that might have been madness, or might have been the purest sanity she'd ever experienced. I understand that you want me bigger. You want me Kavya. You want me to be a real woman. Well, Marcus, that's exactly what I'm going to become. She turned toward the dresser where her laptop sat closed, her mind already racing with research she needed to do, plans she needed to make, consultations she needed to schedule. Sarah, Marcus called after her, and there was something new in his voice. Something that sounded almost like panic. Sarah, wait. We need to talk about this. You can't just. Can't what? She spun around to face him, and he actually flinched. Can't give you exactly what you've been demanding for 3 years? Can't become the woman you say you want? Can't transform myself into your perfect fantasy? Backhand index pointing right. If you were in this moment, what would you do? Would you stay, fight back, or run away? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss stories this wild. Now let's get back to what happened next. Marcus opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. He stood there frozen, as Sarah opened her laptop and began typing with more energy and purpose than she'd felt in years. The sound of her fingers flying across the keyboard filled the silence between them. What are you doing? He asked finally, his voice small and uncertain. Research, Sarah replied without looking up from the screen. I'm finding out exactly how to gain weight the healthy way. I'm looking up personal trainers who specialize in building curves. I'm researching nutritionists who can help me put on pounds in all the right places. The glow from the laptop screen illuminated her face, casting her features in sharp relief. Marcus could see the determination there. The steel resolve that had replaced the fear and uncertainty he was used to. I'm going to document everything, Sarah continued, her voice gaining momentum with each word. Every pound gained, every inch added, every curve developed. I'm going to become your fantasy woman, Marcus. I'm going to be so curvy, so voluptuous, so undeniably female that every man in every room will want me. She looked up at him then, and her smile was sharp enough to cut glass. The question is, will you still want me when I'm too much woman for you to handle? Marcus stared at her in growing horror as the true implications of her plan began to dawn on him. This wasn't about becoming more attractive for him. This was about becoming so attractive that she wouldn't need him anymore. This was about gaining the kind of confidence and power that came with knowing you were desired by everyone. This was about revenge. The next morning, Marcus left for work just like always, giving her the same dismissive peck on the cheek he'd been giving her for years. But as soon as his car pulled out of the driveway, Sarah was on the phone. Dr. Martinez? This is Sarah Chun. I need to schedule a consultation. It's about gaining weight. Significant weight. I want to do this the right way, the healthy way, but I need to put on at least 50 pounds. As she hung up the phone and stared at herself in the hallway mirror, Sarah felt a thrill of anticipation mixed with terror. She was about to embark on a journey that would change everything. Her body, her marriage, her entire life. What she didn't realize was that transformation is a double-edged sword. While she was planning to become too much woman for Marcus to handle, she had no idea that he was about to become too small a man for her to respect. The girl in the mirror, thin, fragile, apologetic for taking up space, was about to disappear forever. In her place would emerge a woman so powerful, so commanding, so utterly confident that she would destroy everything Marcus thought he knew about control. But first, she had to survive the becoming. 6 months later, Sarah stood in front of the same hallway mirror, but the reflection staring back at her belonged to a completely different woman. The transformation had been methodical, strategic, and absolutely stunning. Gone was the 98-pound waif who used to apologize for existing. In her place stood a confident, curvaceous woman who commanded attention simply by breathing. She'd gained 47 pounds of pure intention, every ounce carefully planned and precisely placed through a combination of strength training with her personal trainer Maria, a carefully crafted nutrition plan from Dr. Martinez, and most importantly, a complete mental transformation that had turned her from victim to victor. Her hips now curved outward in a dramatic hourglass silhouette that made her fitted jeans look like they'd been painted on. Her thighs touched when she stood with her feet together, creating a soft, feminine gap at the top that drove men crazy and made women envious. Her waist had thickened but remained proportionally smaller than her hips and bust, creating the kind of figure that fashion magazines featured and men fantasized about. But it was her breasts that had undergone the most dramatic change. What had once been barely an A cup had blossomed into full, heavy D cups that filled out every shirt, every sweater, every dress with an authority that demanded respect. They moved when she walked, swayed when she laughed, and created cleavage that could stop traffic. Sarah ran her hands over her new curves, marveling at the weight and substance of her body. She felt solid now, grounded, impossible to ignore or dismiss. When she walked, her hips swayed with a natural rhythm that was pure sex appeal. When she sat, she took up space with confidence instead of trying to shrink into invisibility. The deep V-neck sweater she wore, burgundy cashmere that had cost more than her monthly grocery budget used to be, hugged every curve like a second skin. The neckline plunged deep enough to showcase the full swell of her breasts without being vulgar, and the fabric clung to her waist before flowing over her rounded hips. It was the kind of sweater the old Sarah never would have dared to wear, let alone fill out so magnificently. Sarah. Marcus's voice cracked from behind her, and she smiled at her reflection. He'd been doing that a lot lately, his voice breaking like a teenager's whenever she entered a room. The man who used to boom commands and criticisms now whispered her name like he was afraid she might disappear. She turned slowly, deliberately, watching his eyes widen as they always did now. It never got old, seeing that mixture of lust and confusion, and something that looked disturbingly like fear cross his features. The sweater moved with her body, the fabric stretching across her curves in ways that made his Adam's apple bob as he swallowed hard. Almost ready, she purred, her voice deeper and more confident than it had ever been. The old Sarah had spoken in whispers and apologies. The new Sarah spoke in statements and commands. I just need to grab my jacket. But as she reached for her coat, a fitted blazer that emphasized her hourglass figure, Marcus grabbed her wrist. His grip was firm, desperate even, but she noticed something that filled her with dark satisfaction. His hand seemed smaller somehow. Or maybe she was just stronger now. All those hours in the gym, all that protein and proper nutrition, had built more than just curves. They'd built power. We need to talk, he said, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. Sarah raised one perfectly arched eyebrow. She'd started getting them professionally shaped, along with her hair, her nails, her entire appearance. When you were this much woman, every detail mattered. About what? About this. He gestured at her body with his free hand, and she noticed his fingers trembling slightly. About what you've done to yourself. This isn't what I meant, Sarah. This isn't what I wanted. The laugh that bubbled up from Sarah's throat was rich and full and absolutely nothing like the timid giggles Marcus used to dismiss so easily. It was the laugh of a woman who knew her own power, who understood exactly what she was capable of. Oh, but it is exactly what you wanted, she said, stepping closer to him. He immediately stepped back, his shoulder blades hitting the wall where he used to pin her. The irony was delicious. You wanted curves. You specifically requested them, remember? You wanted a real woman. You wanted someone who fills out her clothes instead of swimming in them. She moved even closer, close enough that he could smell her new perfume. Something expensive and intoxicating that she'd never had the confidence to wear before. Close enough that he could feel the heat radiating from her fuller, warmer body. Well, congratulations, Marcus, she whispered, her lips almost touching his ear. You got everything you asked for. His face flushed red, then pale, then red again as he struggled with emotions he clearly couldn't name or control. That's not. I didn't mean like this. You've gone too far. You're. He trailed off, his mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. Sarah waited, enjoying his struggle, savoring the moment when the tables had turned so completely. I'm what? She asked, her voice dropping to that dangerous whisper she'd learned from him. Too much woman for you. The color drained from Marcus's face, so quickly she thought he might faint. He released her wrist and pressed himself further against the wall, as if he could somehow escape through the plaster. The guys at work, he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. They're saying things. About you. About us. About how I what? Sarah pressed, leaning in so close that her breasts almost touched his chest. She could feel his rapid heartbeat, could smell the fierce sweat mixing with his cologne. About how I can't handle you, he admitted. The words torn from his throat like they were killing him. They're saying I can't handle a woman like you. They're saying you're out of my league now. They're saying you're the luckiest man alive, Sarah interrupted, but her tone made it clear she didn't agree. They're saying you somehow managed to land a woman who's completely out of your league. They're saying they can't figure out what I'm doing with someone like you. Someone like me? His voice cracked on the question. Sarah stepped back and really looked at him, studied him the way he used to study her, cataloging every flaw and inadequacy. At 6'2", Marcus should have towered over her 5'6" frame. But somehow impossibly she seemed taller now. Maybe it was her posture, the way she carried herself with confidence instead of shame. Maybe it was her heels, which she now wore with the authority of a woman who knew she looked good in them. Or maybe it was just that confidence and curves had a way of making a woman seem larger than life. Someone small, she said simply, and watched him flinch as if she'd slapped him. Someone who gets nervous when his wife enters a room. Someone who breaks out in a sweat when other men look at what he's married to. Someone who asked for a real woman, and then couldn't handle what that actually means. Marcus's breathing quickened, his chest rising and falling rapidly as panic set in. I want you to lose the weight, he said suddenly desperately. I want you to go back to the way you were. We can start over. Pretend this never happened. You can. Sarah threw back her head and laughed. A sound so full of joy and power and absolute confidence that it seemed to echo off every surface in the apartment. It was the laugh of a woman who finally understood her own worth, who had tasted power and found it intoxicating. Oh, Marcus, she said, shaking her head in amazement. Sweet, stupid, pathetic Marcus. Do you really think you get to want things from me anymore? She turned and walked toward the door, her hips swaying with each confident step. Her whole body moved differently now, like a woman who knew she was being watched, who enjoyed being watched, who commanded attention and respect just by existing. I'm going out to dinner, she announced, grabbing her purse, a new one, expensive leather that matched her new lifestyle. With or without you. Sarah, wait. Marcus called after her, his voice high and desperate. You can't just. Where are you going? Who are you having dinner with? She paused at the door, looking back at him over her shoulder. He looked so small pressed against that wall. So insignificant compared to the commanding presence she'd become. Does it matter? She asked. You wanted a real woman, Marcus. Real women make their own decisions about where they go and who they see. Real women don't ask permission from insecure little boys who can't handle what they asked for. I'm your husband, he protested, but the words came out weak and whiny. Are you? Sarah's smile was sharp as a blade. Then act like one. Act like a man who deserves a woman like me. Act like someone who can handle being married to someone other men want. She opened the door, then looked back one more time. If you're coming with me, try to keep up. I don't wait for anyone anymore. And I certainly don't wait for men who are too small to appreciate what they have. As Sarah walked out into the night, she could feel Marcus scrambling behind her, trying to match her pace but constantly falling behind. She could also feel something else. Eyes on her from every direction. Men turning to look as she passed, their gazes lingering on her curves, their expressions hungry and appreciative. Women staring with mixtures of envy and admiration, wondering how she'd achieved such a perfect hourglass figure, such confidence, such magnetic presence. She commanded attention now, and she loved every second of it. Every appreciative glance was validation. Every envious stare was confirmation that she'd succeeded beyond her wildest dreams. What she didn't see was Marcus falling further and further behind, his face growing paler with each appreciative look she received. What she didn't hear was him muttering under his breath. This isn't supposed to happen. She's supposed to be grateful. This isn't how it's supposed to work. But Sarah was about to learn that transformation cuts both ways. And when a small man's ego gets threatened by the very thing he demanded, the results can be catastrophic. As they reached Romano's, the upscale Italian restaurant where Marcus had made reservations weeks ago to impress his boss, Sarah could feel the shift in the air around them. The valet's eyes widened as she stepped out of the car, his professional composure slipping as he took in her figure. The hostess did a double take, then glanced between Sarah and Marcus with barely concealed confusion. "Table for two?" the hostess asked, her tone suggesting she couldn't quite believe they were together. "Yes," Sarah replied smoothly, while Marcus fidgeted beside her like an anxious child. As they were led to their table, Sarah was acutely aware of the attention they were drawing. But not the kind of attention Marcus had hoped for. Instead of admiring glances at the successful man with his attractive wife, people were staring in confusion and speculation. Their expressions clearly asked the same question. What is a woman like that doing with a man like him? Marcus must have sensed it too, because his face grew redder with each step. By the time they reached their table, his hands were visibly shaking. "Please," he whispered as Sarah settled into her chair with fluid grace. "Not here. Not in front of people. Can't you try to be more, less?" Sarah looked across the table at her husband. Really looked at him for the first time in months. And what she saw filled her with something that was far more devastating than anger or hatred. Complete and utter disappointment. The man she'd married. The man she'd spent 3 years trying to please. The man whose approval she'd desperately craved. Was nothing more than a weak, insecure child who couldn't handle having exactly what he'd demanded. And that realization was about to change everything. The crystal chandelier cast dancing shadows across the white tablecloth as Sarah settled into her chair at Romano's, the upscale Italian restaurant that Marcus had chosen to impress his boss. But instead of the admiring glances he'd expected to receive as the successful man with the attractive wife, Marcus found himself shrinking under the weight of very different stares. Every eye in the restaurant seemed drawn to their table, but not for the reasons he'd hoped. The maitre d' had done a visible double-take when they'd walked in. The sommelier had stumbled over his wine recommendations while his gaze kept drifting to Sarah's curves. Even the busboy had nearly dropped his water pitcher when she'd smiled at him. But it wasn't admiration Marcus saw in their eyes when they looked at him. It was confusion. Disbelief. The unspoken question that hung in the air like expensive perfume. What is a woman like that doing with a man like him? Sarah had never felt more powerful. The burgundy dress she'd chosen for tonight hugged every curve like a second skin, the fabric stretching across her full breasts and narrow waist before flowing over her rounded hips. It was the kind of dress that made men forget their own names and made women wonder where she shopped. At 145 pounds, she was exactly the real woman Marcus had demanded, and absolutely nothing like the scared little girl he'd married. "Sarah," Marcus hissed across the table, his voice barely audible above the soft classical music. "People are staring." "Yes, they are," she replied calmly, taking a sip of the expensive Chianti he'd ordered to impress his boss. "Isn't this what you wanted? Didn't you say you needed a wife who would turn heads? A real woman who commanded attention?" Marcus's face flushed red as he glanced around the restaurant nervously. "Not like this," he whispered. This is different." "How is it different?" Sarah leaned forward slightly, and Marcus's eyes involuntarily dropped to her cleavage before snapping back to her face with obvious effort. "I'm curvy now. I fill out my clothes. I make men look twice. Isn't this exactly what you described wanting?" Before Marcus could respond, his boss approached their table. Richard Wellington was a distinguished man in his 50s, the kind of executive who commanded boardrooms and intimidated subordinates. But as he walked toward them, his confident stride faltered slightly, his eyes widening as he took in Sarah's transformation. "Marcus," Richard boomed, but his voice sounded slightly strained. "And this must be the lovely Sarah I've heard so much about." Sarah stood to shake his hand, and Richard's composure cracked completely. The woman rising to greet him bore no resemblance to the mousy little thing he remembered from last year's company picnic. This Sarah was all dangerous curves and confident smiles, the kind of woman who made powerful men act like schoolboys. "Mr. Wellington," Sarah purred, extending her hand. "How lovely to see you again." Richard took her hand and held it a moment too long, his eyes drinking in her figure with obvious appreciation. "My God, Sarah. You look absolutely stunning." "Doesn't she look stunning, Marcus?" Marcus made a sound that might have been agreement, but his face had gone pale. This was exactly what he'd been dreading. Watching other men, successful men, powerful men, look at his wife with undisguised desire while looking at him with barely concealed pity. I was just telling Marcus how lucky he is, Richard continued, still holding Sarah's hand. A man would have to be quite something special to deserve a woman like you. The implication hung in the air like a challenge. Sarah smiled, but there was something predatory in her expression. Yes, she agreed softly. He would, wouldn't he? Richard released her hand reluctantly and turned to Marcus, his expression shifting to something that looked disturbingly like sympathy. Well, I'll leave you two to your dinner. Sarah, it was truly a pleasure. As Richard walked away, Marcus slumped in his chair like a deflated balloon. Did you have to flirt with him like that? Flirt? Sarah's eyebrows rose in mock innocence. I was being polite. Friendly. Isn't that what corporate wives are supposed to do? Support their husbands' careers. That wasn't supporting my career, Marcus snapped, his voice rising slightly before he caught himself and glanced around nervously. That was humiliating me. Did you see how he looked at you? Did you see how he looked at me? How did he look at you, Marcus? The question was soft, gentle even, but there was something underneath it that made Marcus's blood run cold. It was the tone of a therapist asking a patient to confront an uncomfortable truth. Marcus's voice cracked. Like he couldn't understand what you were doing with me. And how did that make you feel? Sarah's voice remained gentle, understanding, but her eyes were sharp as glass. She was enjoying this, Marcus realized with growing horror. She was enjoying watching him squirm, enjoying his discomfort, enjoying the power she now wielded simply by existing in her new body. Small, he admitted, the word torn from his throat. It made me feel small. The restaurant continued to buzz around them, but their table had become an island of tension in a sea of casual dining. Sarah cut a piece of her chicken parmesan with surgical precision, each movement deliberate and controlled. Small, she repeated thoughtfully. That's interesting. You know, I used to feel small too. Every day, actually. When you would compare me to other women. When you would tell me I wasn't enough. When you would threaten to find someone who could satisfy a real man. Marcus shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Sarah, I never meant. Oh, but you did mean it, she interrupted, her voice still calm but with steel underneath. You meant every word. You wanted me to feel small, inadequate, grateful for whatever scraps of attention you threw my way. You wanted me to believe I was lucky to have you. She took another bite of her chicken, chewing thoughtfully while Marcus squirmed across from her. But here's what's funny about feeling small, Marcus. When you finally grow bigger, when you finally become more than you were, you start to see things differently. You start to see people differently. What do you mean? Sarah set down her fork and really looked at her husband, studied him the way a scientist might examine a specimen under a microscope. I mean, I see you clearly now. For the first time in 3 years, I see you exactly as you are. Marcus's hands trembled as he reached for his wine glass. And what do you see? I see a man who only feels big when he makes others feel small. I see someone so insecure in his own masculinity that he had to tear down his wife to build himself up. I see a pathetic little boy who demanded a real woman, and then couldn't handle what that actually meant. The words hit Marcus like physical blows, each one landing with devastating accuracy. Around them, the restaurant continued its elegant dance of service and conversation, oblivious to the destruction happening at table 12. Sarah, please, Marcus whispered, his voice breaking. People can hear you. Let them hear, Sarah said, her voice rising just enough to carry to the neighboring tables. Let them hear about the man who spent 3 years telling his wife she wasn't woman enough for him. Let them hear about the husband who got exactly what he asked for, and discovered he was too small to handle it. Several nearby diners had stopped their conversations to listen, their faces a mixture of fascination and discomfort. Marcus could feel their stares boring into him, could see the judgment in their eyes. You're embarrassing me, he hissed. Sarah's laugh was rich and full and completely without mercy. I'm embarrassing you? I'm sitting here, having dinner with my husband, looking absolutely incredible in a dress that showcases the body you demanded I have. How exactly am I embarrassing you? You know how? Walking around like some kind of... I can't even look at you anymore without thinking about all the men who are looking at you, wanting you, wondering what you're doing with me. The admission burst from Marcus like water from a broken dam. Raw and desperate and absolutely devastating in its honesty. The neighboring tables had gone completely silent now. The diners unabashedly eavesdropping on the destruction of a marriage. Sarah leaned back in her chair, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. So that's what this is really about. It's not that I'm too big now. It's that I'm too good for you, and everyone can see it. Marcus opened his mouth to deny it, but no words came out. How could he deny something that was so obviously, painfully true? That's it, isn't it? Sarah continued, her voice carrying clearly across the now silent section of the restaurant. You wanted me bigger so you could feel like more of a man. You wanted curves and confidence, but only the kind you could control. You wanted a trophy wife, but you never stopped to think about what would happen when the trophy became too valuable for the shelf you put it on. She stood up slowly, every movement fluid and graceful, her body commanding attention from every corner of the restaurant. The burgundy dress moved with her like liquid silk, highlighting every curve that Marcus had demanded and now feared. You know what the real problem is, Marcus? She asked, looking down at him as he cowered in his chair. You thought that if I became the woman you wanted, I would still be the same scared little girl inside. You thought the curves would come with gratitude. You thought the confidence would still include dependence on you. Marcus tried to speak, but his voice came out as a strangled whisper. Sarah, please. Not here. Not in front of all these people. Why not here? Sarah's voice rose, carrying to every table in their section. Why not in front of people? Are you ashamed of me, Marcus? Are you embarrassed by your wife? No, I'm. You're what? Embarrassed by yourself? Embarrassed that everyone can see you're not man enough for the woman you demanded I become. The silence in the restaurant was deafening. Even the servers had stopped moving, frozen in place as they watched the drama unfold. Sarah could see faces turned toward them from every direction. Some shocked, some sympathetic, some clearly enjoying the spectacle. Marcus's face had gone from red to white to an unhealthy gray color. You're making a scene, he whispered desperately. I'm making a scene? Sarah laughed, the sound echoing off the restaurant's high ceilings. Marcus, honey, I haven't even started making a scene yet. She leaned down, placing her hands on the table, her face inches from his. When she spoke, her voice was quiet enough that only he could hear, but deadly enough to cut through steel. You want to know what making a scene looks like? Making a scene is me standing up right now and announcing to everyone in this restaurant exactly what kind of husband you've been. Making a scene is me telling them about every cruel comment, every comparison to other women. Every time you made me feel like I wasn't worthy of basic human respect. Marcus's breathing became rapid and shallow, panic written across his features. Making a scene, Sarah continued, is me explaining to your boss and all these nice people how you demanded I gain weight, demanded I become curvy, demanded I become a real woman, and then couldn't handle it when I became more woman than you could ever hope to deserve. She straightened up, smoothing down her dress with deliberate care. But I'm not going to make a scene, Marcus. Do you know why? He shook his head mutely. Because you're not worth the effort. Because making a scene would suggest that I care what happens to you. And I've realized something tonight. Her smile was radiant and terrible. I don't. Sarah picked up her purse, a designer bag that cost more than Marcus made in a week, and slung it over her shoulder. I'm leaving now. You can stay and finish your dinner, or you can come home. Or you can do whatever pathetic little men do when they realize they've lost everything they never deserved in the first place. She turned to go, then paused, looking back at him over her shoulder. Oh, and Marcus? When you get home tonight, you'll find my suitcases are already packed. I'll be staying at the Marriott downtown until I can find my own place. Sarah, wait. Marcus called out, his voice cracking with desperation. You can't just leave. We're married. We have a life together. She turned back to face him, and the look in her eyes was colder than winter. We have a legal contract, Marcus. We've never had a life together. A life together would require mutual respect, which we've never had. It would require love, which died the first time you told me I wasn't enough. It would require partnership, and you've made it clear that what you wanted was ownership. The restaurant was so quiet that Sarah's heels clicking on the marble floor sounded like gunshots as she walked toward the exit. Every eye followed her movement, watching as she glided between tables with the confidence of a woman who knew exactly what she was worth. Behind her, she could hear Marcus calling her name, his voice getting higher and more desperate with each repetition. She could hear his chair scraping against the floor as he stumbled to his feet, could hear him mumbling apologies to the other diners as he tried to follow her. But Sarah didn't turn around. She walked out of that restaurant with her head high, her shoulders back, and her entire body radiating the kind of power that comes from finally understanding your own worth. The valet brought her car around. She'd insisted on driving herself tonight, much to Marcus's confusion. And as she slipped behind the wheel, she caught sight of herself in the rearview mirror. The woman looking back at her was everything Marcus had claimed to want. Curvy, confident, absolutely stunning. But she was also something he'd never anticipated. Completely beyond his control. 3 months later, Sarah sat in her lawyer's office, signing the final divorce papers in a wrap dress that hugged every curve Marcus had once demanded and then feared. She'd gained another 15 pounds since that night at Romano's, and every ounce felt like freedom. Her body had settled into a perfect hourglass figure that turned heads wherever she went, but more importantly, her confidence had grown to match her curves. "He's asking for the apartment," her lawyer, Janet Morrison, said as she slid the papers across the mahogany desk. Janet was a shark in Armani, the kind of divorce attorney who ate weak men for breakfast and charged premium rates for the privilege. Sarah signed her name with a flourish, her signature bold and confident. "He can have it. I'm getting something better." "What's that?" Sarah stood up, her body filling the space in a way that commanded attention and respect. The wrap dress, emerald green silk that cost more than her old monthly salary, moved with her like liquid luxury. Her hair was professionally styled, her makeup flawless, her nails done in a deep red that matched her lipstick. "A life without someone trying to make me smaller," she said simply. Janet smiled, the predatory grin of a woman who'd seen too many cases like this one. "Good for you. Though I have to ask, any regrets about the transformation? About gaining all that weight just to prove a point?" Sarah looked out the window of the high-rise office building, watching the city sprawl below her. In the reflection, she could see herself clearly. All 160 pounds of pure confidence and power. She'd continued gaining weight even after leaving Marcus. But now it was entirely for herself. Every pound was a declaration of independence. Every curve a middle finger to anyone who thought they could dictate what her body should look like. Regrets. Sarah turned back to Janet, her smile radiant. "I have exactly one regret." "What's that?" "That I waited so long to become who I was always meant to be." As Sarah walked out of the lawyer's office and into the bright afternoon sun, she thought about the girl who used to hide in oversized clothes, who apologized for taking up space, who believed she wasn't woman enough for anyone. That girl was gone forever, buried under layers of confidence and curves and the unshakable knowledge of her own worth. Marcus had wanted curves, and she'd given them to him. He'd wanted a real woman, and she'd become one. He'd wanted someone who filled out her clothes, and she'd delivered exactly that. But he'd never wanted a woman who was too much for his ego to handle. He'd never wanted someone who would outgrow his need to control. He'd never wanted a wife who would become more than he could ever hope to be. Sarah's phone buzzed with a text message. She glanced at the screen and saw it was from David, the architect she'd been dating for the past month. He was everything Marcus wasn't. Confident enough to handle a strong woman, secure enough to celebrate her success, man enough to love her exactly as she was. "Dinner tonight? That new place downtown? I want to show off my gorgeous girlfriend." Sarah smiled as she typed back her response. "Perfect. Fair warning though. I'm wearing that red dress you love. The one that makes every man in the restaurant jealous of me? Even better." As Sarah slipped her phone back into her purse and walked down the busy street, she felt the familiar thrill of knowing she was being watched. Men turned to look as she passed, their gazes appreciative and hungry. Women stared with mixtures of envy and admiration, wondering how she'd achieved such perfect curves, such magnetic confidence. But the difference now was that Sarah wasn't performing for anyone else's approval. She wasn't trying to be enough for someone who would never be satisfied. She was simply being herself. All 160 pounds of unapologetic, confident, absolutely irresistible woman. Marcus had been right about one thing. She had been too small for him. Too small to fight back. Too small to stand up for herself. Too small to believe she deserved better. But now she was too much for his ego. Too much woman for his insecurities. Too much strength for his weakness. Too much freedom for his control. And that, Sarah realized as she disappeared into the crowd of people who parted respectfully around her commanding presence, was exactly what she'd always been meant to be. Too much for men like Marcus. Just enough for herself. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, Sarah stood in the kitchen of her new downtown loft, cooking dinner for David. The space was everything her old apartment wasn't. Open, bright, filled with her choices and her style. The walls displayed her artwork, her books filled the shelves, her presence dominated every corner. She caught her reflection in the stainless steel refrigerator and smiled. At 165 pounds, she was bigger than she'd ever been, and she'd never felt smaller. Every curve was exactly where she wanted it, every pound a choice she'd made for herself. She wore a simple sundress that hugged her figure without apology, her hair loose around her shoulders, her face glowing with the kind of happiness that comes from living authentically. David walked up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist and nuzzling her neck. You smell amazing. What are you making?" "Chicken parmesan," she said, leaning back into his embrace. "The same dish I was eating the night I finally stood up to Marcus." "Symbolic," David murmured against her ear. "I like it." Sarah turned in his arms, looking up at the man who loved her exactly as she was, curves and confidence and all. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Marcus had just appreciated what he had? David's expression grew serious. "Honestly, I think he did you the biggest favor of your life. If he'd been a better man, you might never have discovered how incredible you really are. You might never have transformed into the amazing woman standing in my arms right now." Sarah kissed him softly, tasting the truth in his words. Marcus's cruelty had been the catalyst for her transformation, but it hadn't been the source of her strength. That had always been inside her, waiting for the right moment to emerge. "Besides," David added with a grin, "his loss is definitely my gain. I get to be with a woman who knows exactly what she's worth, who isn't afraid to take up space, who commands attention just by breathing. What more could a man ask for?" As they swayed together in the kitchen, Sarah thought about how far she'd come from that scared girl who used to apologize for existing. She'd been too small for Marcus, but that had never been about her size. It had been about his inability to handle a woman with substance, with presence, with power. Now she was exactly the right size for her life. Big enough to fill every space she entered, confident enough to demand respect, strong enough to walk away from anyone who couldn't appreciate what they had. She had become too much for Marcus's ego, and it had set her free.